Okay guys, you're buying a new truck. First thing you gotta do is spec it. You gotta know where you're going, you gotta know what you're doing. Watch this video, we're gonna help you out with that. So in this video here, we're gonna help you out just a little bit. And this is primarily for a guy or a girl that say you're buying a new truck. If you're buying a used truck, your options for being able to spec the truck yourself are obviously limited. But with a new truck, if you're at the dealer, whether it be Freightliner, Volvo, Kenworth, Western Star, whatever, then you have all of the options. They're gonna basically put together what's called a build sheet. And on that build sheet, you are going to spec your truck, and it's gonna be what you want the truck to be spec'd at. When I say spec'd at, it means all of the little details that are gonna make that truck what it is for you. The first thing I would say that you're gonna wanna look at, after you've been pre-approved for financing, you're not walking into a dealership and setting all of this up and then going, okay, let me go get it financed, because they're not even gonna talk to you. But what the first thing you probably wanna think about is the company that you're working at. Let's just say you've already chosen the company, as in my case I had. Find out where they're going. Where are the primary routes? Where are you gonna be running? Are you gonna be running up and down the East Coast? Are you gonna be running the Midwest? Are you gonna be running far out west? Are you gonna be running, Northern Ontario, Northern Canada, across the prairies, out? Figure out where you're gonna be going. From there, you can then make a better judgment call on what you want that truck to do. Now remember, I've said this before, Ronan has said it before. I think anybody who knows anything these days, and we've been pounding it, is fuel mileage wins the race. Yes, you want an affordable truck payment. Yes, you want a nice truck, or the best that you can get for what you can afford. But the thing you're building your truck for is fuel mileage, okay?
So in my videos, I talk a lot about financing and interest rates, because 90% of the time when I look at lease agreements, our hardworking truck drivers are getting taken advantage of. My heart drops when I see finance agreements and drivers being charged between 12 to 18% interest fees. I have created a link below. Whether you're a Canadian driver or an American driver, with a click of a button, you can make these finance companies compete for your business. It's a simple form that would literally take you 20 to 30 seconds, but you can save thousands of dollars. Once you hit submit, this form is going to go to 4 different lenders. Let them compete for your business.
So now you've got your company, now you've figured out where you're going to be running. So let's just use my case for example, okay? Our flatbeds at ET Transport, we primarily run the Midwest. We do a little bit of East Coast, not really. It would be the southeast. I haven't had my full coffee yet this morning, so we're still working on this, but we would run the Southeast, but we don't run up and down the East Coast. Primarily we're out in the Midwest. So most of the time, I would say I'm on flat ground. The only time I hit any kind of serious is when I'm running, say, 79, I'm going, say, down to Kentucky or into that area down there. I might get some hills. Or when I'm running out west, say I've got a trip, I'll load something out of the US and it's going up to Calgary, Edmonton. And then I might go into BC and I got to cross the Coquihalla and the big hills there. So for the most part, I'm on relatively flat ground. So I will spec my truck for a flat ground, and this is how I spec my truck. What do I want for horsepower? I don't need big horsepower. I'm not pulling 95,000 pounds, 125,000 pounds. I would spec my truck, and we're gonna just use a general, okay? I'm not picking like Freightliner, PACCAR, and motors, DD15s. We're just going, yeah. I would for that run, based on what I would do, I'd pick, get my horsepower around between 455 and 465. That's how I'd spec that truck. I would want my torque to be somewhere in about the 1720 to 1750 range. Okay, that's what gets you up the hills. It's not horsepower to get you up the hills. I would set my gear ratio, for example, and I would have to split this. If I'm driving a Volvo or a PACCAR, I'd set my gear ratio at 264. All of these, for me, I would set with a 12-speed automated transmission. So in Volvo, it's the I-Shift, and Freightliner, it has its 12-speed. But either way, so Volvo and PACCAR, I'd set with a 12-speed automated transmission with overdrive with a 264 rear end. On the Freightliners and say the Western Stars, And you could even say a Mac, but a Mac is a Volvo. So you'd set it's the same motor, it's the same everything, except it says Mac and it's got a bulldog on the front of it. So that would be 264. On the Freightliners and the Western Stars, my gear ratio would be 308. So that would be 3.08. Now I'm doing it in the air here and it's actually backwards to you. So it would be what? 3.08. There you go, folks. That there would be the optimal for what I do, okay? That means that my engine, when I'm humming along at about 62 to 65 miles an hour, my RPM range is about 1150, 1175, anywhere between 1150 and 1250 is where I want my RPMs while I've got my cruise control set and I'm cruising down the highway. That gives me enough, because it's an automatic transmission and I've spec'd it for a 12 speed with overdrive. When I'm climbing a hill, am I gonna get up that hill as fast as somebody else? No. Am I gonna have more fuel when I get to the top of that hill? Yes. Remember, we're gonna go all the way back to the beginning. Fuel mileage wins the race. It's not how fast I can go, and it's not how much power I've got to get up that hill and go racing up hills. It's how much fuel I'm gonna have at the end of my trip. It's how much fuel I'm gonna have at the end of the week, at the end of the month, at the end of the year. How much fuel I have or how much fuel I don't have determines how much money I've got in my pocket, or how much extra money I've got in my pocket, or how much money I don't have in my pocket. So 264, 308, PACCAR Volvo, Freightliner Western Star, 455 horse up to 465 horse. These guys that are running, oh, I've got 525 horsepower. Good for you, you're pissing fuel away. You don't need 525 horsepower if you're pulling standard general freight. You don't need it. You're working your engine, or I'm not going to say you're working your engine, because at 525, you know, your engine, they say your engine's not working as hard as it does at 465, but it is. But you don't need 505 horsepower. You're using too much fuel. You're working the motor too much. Don't do that. 465, 455, 308, 264, 12, all of them. 12-speed automatics with overdrive. And myself personally, I go with 300 gallons. I want 2 tanks, 150 a side, right? So 150 gallons on each side. That, for what I'm doing, enables me to go from Canada down to the States, get my fuel in the States, and then come back. Do you hear that? I went from Canada, no fuel in Canada, down to the States, got my fuel in the States, and then I came back. 1 tank of fuel will probably, like, I can go from here to Kentucky, up to Indiana, back to Toronto on 1 tank of fuel. No problem. I still got fuel to burn. So I want 300 gallons. I wouldn't run around this day and age with anything less than 300 gallons of fuel. So there you have it. That's how you spec a truck. Now, it all depends on what you're doing. Okay, if you're running the East Coast, you're running a lot of Pennsylvania, New York State, Pennsylvania, Virginia, West Virginia, South Carolinas, you're running a lot more hills. Your gear ratios are probably going to be a little bit different. You probably want to get yourself up into 355s or 350s and 355s gear ratios. With the same 12-speed automatic transmission, with the overdrive, you might take your horsepower, say, up to 475, or 475. You'll take your horsepower up to 475. Again, you still don't need 500 and blah, blah horsepower. Hills, your gear ratios will come up. You'll want a little more oomph to get you up the hill, because you're going to be climbing them a whole lot more. You don't want to be making your engine work that hard. So there you have it. On flat ground, let's just say you're never going to see a hill bigger than the curb in your driveway. You can go down to 234s. You can go down to 225, whatever the hell you want. I know the bull haulers, those guys, when you're out in Montana and they pass you at 100 miles an hour, you look at their RPMs, those guys are at 90 miles an hour, those guys are humming along at like, 1200 RPM. So the gear, I don't even know what the gear ratio would be on something like that. It would probably be something ridiculous, like I said, like 208 or 224s or something stupid like that. But they've got their trucks geared to run for that speed, for that distance, because they're flat. Now, if that guy hits a headwind or he has to do a hill anything bigger than this, you're going to zoom past him, but he's probably about 25 miles ahead of you, so you'll never catch him. Anyway, that's how you spec a truck. That's how I would spec a truck. Every one of us is a little bit different. We've all got our own little quirks and things that we like and we don't like about our trucks. So you're going to change it up. Don't take my word for it. I'm definitely not, I'm not a truck builder. I'm not a professional motor guy. I'm not I'm just a guy that drives a truck, and I've driven a lot of different trucks with different specifications. So I'm just passing on what I've got to give you. So if this helps you out at all, you're looking to buy a new truck and you need to spec it, great. You know what? I tell you what you can even do. We will actually help you out if you want. If you're buying a new truck, leave a comment. Go into the comments, tell us what you're buying. Tell us, you can even tell us where you're buying it, doesn't matter. And then tell us where you're gonna be running and what you're gonna be doing with the truck. And we'll put our heads together here and we will help you and come up with maybe some specifications for your truck that'll benefit you and like get your truck custom made for you. So there you go. Throw your comments down there. If we can help you out, we'll be happy to. Anyway, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Give us a like, give us a thumbs up, hook us up. We'll see you down the road.